little break in the video there because I got a phone call. So I was at the airport and I get these texts from him. What is your birth date? Because I want to send you a gift, etc. I gave him my birth date, and actually he was filing a case against me. What kind of a case? Well, he had asked me for many weeks and months during a specific time back in 2009 to help his mother again. Not only I helped his mother before, but my friends helped his mother. Many people, even one of my closest friends, went to his home and lived with him for a month, and another friend of mine built his new house, actually built a really nice restroom facility, CR they call it there in the Philippines. I had given him tens of thousands of pesos, probably hundreds of thousands, something like that, over the span of our friendship. But it wasn't about money, it was about true friendship. I loved his mother so much. She was like my own mother. And the conversations that she and I had towards the last, which her own son doesn't even want to hear those things. I've reached out to him since 2009 to tell him what his mother said to him. His mother wanted him to hear certain things. She wanted me to give him a message, but he's never wanted to hear that message. Interestingly enough, when she died, he filed a case against me for her death. And I had to go through the worst experience of my life living on the streets of Manila with no money. I lost my wife in America. I lost my homes in America. I lost everything I had because of this false case. A case against me for something I did good. He went after me. So I have every reason to distrust the Filipino people, but that's not the end. Third story, I brought a woman and her son who was born in the streets, basically. A girl who had run away from home at age 15. I brought her to America, gave her and her son citizenship, married her, loved her, and I wasn't perfect, but I loved her passionately. And she was incredibly unfaithful, left me. She was a Filipina. So I have every reason to distrust and go after the Filipino people in my heart as being unworthy or untrustworthy. But it's actually quite the opposite. And there's a lot of reasons why. And I want to share with you that when I talk to my American friends here in America, I'm in Hawaii right now, or I talk to my American friends in California or the East Coast, anywhere, I tell them, please don't come to the Philippines. Don't go to the Philippines. You know why? It's not because the Filipino people are bad. It's because the Filipino people are good. I feel in my heart sadness when I see my American people mistreating the Filipinos. And I'm sure the majority of the Filipino people, you watching this, who are good, you also feel tears and you feel sadness in your heart to know that your own people, Filipino people, are treating foreigners and Americans so bad, violating the highest levels of trust, friendships. I'm sure it really tugs at your heart and makes you sad. And the same thing for me. When I bring my American friends, or foreigners, even other countries, but especially American friends because I'm American, and they come to the Philippines and I see how they mistreat the Filipino people, they don't realize they're mistreating them. But let me tell you, even saying they is not okay. Even saying in America we do it like this, that's not okay. It's offensive. It hurts Filipino people because they already feel, and I'm saying this, but I'm trying to make a point that the Filipino people, the culture in the Philippines, already feel that they are almost less in a way than the affluent, richer countries. They want to have pride, and they do have pride of their culture. But when it comes to having money and having resources and things like that, they know they don't have it, okay? So don't refer to Filipino people by saying they do this or they do that. And don't belittle them. And don't talk negatively about them in any way. I'm telling you some isolated cases what happened to me. But I defend Filipino people. I defend the Philippines. When this happened to me, many foreigners actually were going through this at the time of the elections of Nuno Aquino. At that time, there were many fraudulent cases against foreigners. The foreigners paid bribes. They paid money. And I was approached by government people saying, would you be willing to go through the judicial process? I said, absolutely. You know why? Because I have faith in the Filipino people. I believe in you. I believe in the Filipino people. I believe in the president there, Duterte. He was voted in by the majority. I may not agree with everything he does. I may not agree with everything Trump's doing. But the majority voted. And I believe Duterte is doing some amazingly good things. Of course, I hate to hear about the killings. I hate to hear about the death. But you know what? I personally know of people who are not on the side of the government, who have killed people, who actually blame those killings on the president. So there is definitely corruption in the Philippines. There's corruption in our country. Think about the kidnappings in the Philippines. I have a good friend who may be alive or maybe not alive who was kidnapped in the Philippines. What is the count for the year? 150, something like that, kidnappings for the whole year. What about the United States of America? I've heard as high as 15,000 kidnappings. And they're from our own people, kidnapping children, kidnapping their own family and things like that. It's just different crimes. I know I'm venting, but let's not attack the Filipino people and make them feel lower or less because of isolated experiences or because of their government's direction that they're going. People all around the world are trying to survive. You know one thing that they have in common? That Americans, Filipinos, Iranians, Serbians, Chinese, Japanese, I'm talking about all people, Russians, all of them, they have the desire to be happy. And they have the ability to show kindness. There is one thing that is a thread that runs throughout the world that is really the fiber that connects all people. And this fiber, to me, is proof that there is a God, that there is a supreme entity that created us, that cares about us. You know what that thread is? You know what that thread, that moral thread is? It's the thread of kindness. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're out in the desert, or let's say you're in the war zone, and then maybe that's a desert too, and your enemy comes up to you, you have a gun, you lose your gun, it's not available, they point the gun and they decide, you know what, I'm not going to shoot you. I'm going to give you my canteen, my water. Now, if the enemy decided not to shoot you and give you his canteen and water, and you see that enemy again on the line, would you shoot them? You know what? There's a moral thread that makes it impossible, if you're thinking rationally, if your brain is intact and you're not completely out of it mentally, that moral thread says, this person was kind to me. I need to be kind back to them. I'm not going to shoot them. I'm going to spare their life because they were kind to me. That to me is proof that there is a moral thread that connects all people. And what's interesting is that moral thread has been violated with me. But perhaps there's a misunderstanding. Perhaps that person, Norman Arga, was hurt so bad that he thought, and his mind tricked him into thinking that I did something wrong when I didn't. I even thought my own self in my mind, maybe I did do something wrong and I didn't know it. And for a long time I searched my soul and I thought and I thought and I thought. But clearly I gave so much. I gave everything. In fact, I missed my flight going back to America because I was so concerned about his mother. I wanted to personally be there and help her. I gave everything until I ran out of money. I had to message him and say, I gave all my money. Could you help some with money for her food? I paid her care. I paid her apartment. I did everything I could possibly do. So maybe there's a misunderstanding, but we have to give room for that. In the end here, what I'm saying is I got a text from this young boy who says he loves me, and in my heart I immediately start to feel fear. and fear of going back to the country. Is this a trick? Is this a trick? Is he saying this to get me to come back so he can kill me? You know what? Even if it is a trick, I'm willing to step foot and give the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing, if Norman reaches out to me and tells me he's sorry, he loves me, I would risk my life. In fact, even if he didn't, I would risk my life to help him, to save his life. One of the reasons why I have this passion and this love for the Filipino people is not only because they're God's children, but because during a very dark time in my life, God put an angel in my life. That angel, her name is Lucelle Aquin, and her family, a family that have worship morning and evening, a family that love each other no matter what, sisters who get along and love each other no matter what, sisters that communicate with each other and love each other. I'm talking about a mother and a father who, no matter what happens in their life, they love each other, they forgive each other. No matter what happens, they love the people around them. These are people that changed my way of thinking when it comes to knowing how to love unconditionally. God brought into my life a wife who showed me how to really love, and she loved me during a time that was so difficult for me. And you know, I married her. I courted her dated her for a few years, and with the approval of my family, her church conference, my church conference, we got married. And you know, I haven't been perfect. She hasn't been perfect. We're all humans struggling to be happy and joyful. The thing I want to say here in the end of this is that I'm in Hawaii. We had acquired through a person who donated to our ministry a vessel. That vessel sunk, and there was a lot of reasons why it sunk. It was not on purpose, obviously. It was an accident. It was a huge loss to myself. It was a loss to many other people who could have benefited from that. But the fact is that vessel